Whether you're here for the chill of an unsolved mystery or the thrill of a forgotten tale, Snapply has it all. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and join our global community as we explore the past together. Today, we're diving into one of Russia's most haunting mysteries, the Dyatlov Pass Incident. Let's get started. In the heart of Russia's Ural Mountains, a mystery has lingered for over 6 decades. It's a story of adventure turned to tragedy, of questions without answers, and of a puzzle that continues to baffle experts and enthusiasts alike. In January 1959, 9 young hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, set out on what was supposed to be a challenging but rewarding trek through the snowy wilderness. They were experienced, well-prepared, and eager for the journey ahead. Their goal was to reach Ural Mountain, a remote peak in the northern Urals. But they never made it. Instead, they met a fate that would become one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century. Weeks later, a search party found their tent abandoned and slashed open from the inside. The hikers' bodies were discovered in the following months, scattered across the slopes, some with injuries that defied explanation. The official investigation concluded that they died due to a compelling natural force. But what that force was remains unknown. Over the years, theories have abounded, from avalanches to secret military tests, from infrasound to Yeti attacks. Yet none have fully solved the enigma of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. Join us as we delve into this chilling mystery, exploring the facts, the theories, and the unanswered questions that continue to haunt this case. To understand the Dyatlov Pass Incident, we first need to know who the hikers were. They were mostly students and recent graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute in Sverdlovsk, now Yekaterinburg. The group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, all in their early to mid-20s, except for one member who was 38. The leader was Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, an engineering student and experienced hiker. The others were Georgy Krivonishenko, 24, Yuri Doroshenko, 21, Zenaida Kolmogorova, 22, Rustem Slobodin, 23, Nikolai, Thibaut Brignot, 23, Ludmila Dubinina, 21, Semyon Zolotaryov, 38, Alexander Kolovatov, 24, and Yuri Yudin, who turned back early due to illness and became the only survivor. These were not novices. Most had extensive hiking and skiing experience, and they were well equipped for the harsh conditions. Their expedition was categorized as a Category 3 trek, the most difficult, which involved traversing remote and rugged terrain. They began their journey on January 23, 1959, from the village of Vijay. Their plan was to ski across the mountains to Ural, a distance of about 350 kilometers, and return by February 12th. They sent a telegram to their sports club on January 28th, indicating they were on schedule. On January 28th, Yuri Yudin had to turn back due to joint pain, leaving the group with 9 members. He would later become a key figure in preserving their memory and seeking answers. The area they were trekking through is known for its harsh winters, with temperatures dropping well below freezing and strong winds. The pass where they set up their final camp was near Kholat Shakhl, which in the local Mansi language means Mountain of the Dead. While the name is ominous, it's believed to refer to the lack of game in the area rather than any supernatural significance. On February 1, 1959, the group deviated from their planned route due to worsening weather and set up camp on the slopes of Kholat Shakhl. This decision would prove fateful. On the night of February 2, 1959, something went terribly wrong. The exact sequence of events is unknown, but the evidence suggests that the hikers fled their tent in a hurry, cutting their way out from the inside. When the search party found the tent on February 26th, it was partially covered in snow. Inside, they found the hikers' belongings, including warm clothing, boots, and food, suggesting they left in a state of panic. Footprints, some made by bare feet, others by socks or a single shoe, led down the slope towards a nearby forest. This was puzzling because the temperature that night was around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, and the hikers were not dressed for such conditions. The first two bodies were found at the edge of the forest near a cedar tree. They were Georgy Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko, both shoeless and dressed only in their underwear. They had tried to start a fire, as evidenced by broken branches and burn marks on the tree. Three more bodies, Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin, were found between the tent and the cedar tree, seemingly trying to return to the camp. They were better, dressed but still not adequately for the weather. It wasn't until May, when the snow began to melt, that the remaining four bodies were discovered in a ravine, heighting about 75 meters from the cedar tree. These hikers, Nikolai Thibaut Brignol, Ludmila Dubinina, Semyon Zolotaryov, and Alexander Kolevatov, had more severe injuries. Thibaut Brignol had a fractured skull. Dubinina and Zolotaryov had multiple broken ribs, and Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. Strangely, there were no external wounds corresponding to these internal injuries. The official investigation was launched after the hikers failed to return on time. When the search party found the tent and the first bodies, it became clear that something catastrophic had occurred. The tent was found with a large cut from the inside, indicating the hikers had fled in a hurry. However, there was no sign of a struggle or an attack inside the tent. The footprints suggested that the group had left the tent in an orderly fashion, not in a blind panic, which contradicted the idea of a sudden, terrifying event. The footprints were made by people walking, not running. This suggests they were trying to maintain some control, perhaps to avoid triggering an avalanche or to stay together in the dark. The autopsy reports revealed that 6 of the hikers died from hypothermia, while 3 had fatal injuries. Thibaut Brignol from a skull fracture, and Dubinina and Zolotaryov from chest fractures. These injuries were likened to those sustained in a car crash, requiring a significant force, yet there were no external signs of trauma, such as bruising or skin abrasions. The ravine, where the last 4 were found, had a steep drop, and it's possible they fell. But the nature of their injuries didn't entirely match that scenario. In such cold conditions, even minor injuries can become fatal quickly. But the internal injuries without external damage are hard to explain. Another puzzling aspect was the missing tongue and eyes of Ludmila Dubinina. Some theories suggest animal predation, but others point to more sinister causes. The investigation also noted that some clothing items had traces of radioactivity, specifically beta radiation. This was attributed to the hikers' work or study in fields involving radioactive materials, but it added to the mystery. In May 1959, the case was closed with the conclusion that the hikers died due to a compelling natural force. The files were archived and some parts were classified, fueling speculation and conspiracy theories. Over the years, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the Dyatlov Pass Incident. Some are grounded in science, while others venture into the realm of the supernatural. Let's explore the most prominent ones. One of the most widely accepted theories is that an avalanche or a slab slide occurred, startling the hikers and forcing them to cut their way out of the tent. Imagine a wall of snow crashing down, burying everything in its path. The slope above their campsite was about 20–30 degrees, which is within the range where avalanches can occur, especially with fresh snow. The snow conditions that day were unstable, increasing the risk. However, critics argue that the area didn't show signs of an avalanche, like debris or snow displacement. Plus, the hikers' footprints were still visible, which wouldn't be the case after a snowslide. Some experts also point out that the slope wasn't steep enough for a typical avalanche. Another theory suggests that infrasound, low-frequency sound waves, could have been generated by the wind patterns around the mountain, inducing panic and disorientation. Infrasound can cause feelings of unease, anxiety, and even hallucinations. It's possible that the hikers experienced this and fled the tent in a state of irrational fear, unable to think clearly. While intriguing, this theory doesn't explain the physical injuries sustained by some of the hikers. It might account for why they left the tent, but not what happened afterward. Given the Cold War era, some believe the hikers stumbled upon a secret military test, perhaps involving weapons or experimental technology, and were silenced to prevent any leaks. There were reports of glowing orbs in the sky around that time, which some attribute to missile tests. The political climate was tense, and the Soviet government was conducting numerous secret operations. However, there's no concrete evidence linking the military to the incident. The radioactivity on the clothing could support this theory, but it's also possible it came from the hikers' own equipment or activities, as some were studying in fields involving radioactive materials. One of the hikers' cameras contained a photo of a dark, humanoid figure, leading to speculation about a yeti or other creature attacking the group. The photo is blurry and could be anything, including one of the hikers. There's no other evidence of a creature in the area, like tracks or signs of a struggle. While the Yeti theory is intriguing and popular in sensationalist accounts, it lacks scientific backing. It's more likely a product of imagination than reality. Katabatic winds are dense, cold air flowing down a slope. They can be extremely strong and sudden, potentially blowing the hikers out of their tent. While possible, katabatic winds typically don't cause the kind of injuries seen in the hikers. It might explain why they left the tent but not the subsequent events, like the severe trauma. In cases of severe hypothermia, victims may experience paradoxical undressing, where they feel hot and remove clothing. Terminal burrowing is when they seek small, enclosed spaces. This could explain why some were found partially dressed and in the ravine, which might have seemed like a shelter. It's a known phenomenon in hypothermia cases. However, this doesn't account for the traumatic injuries. It might explain some aspects of their behavior, but not the full picture. While each theory has its merits, none fully explain all aspects of the incident. In recent years, new investigations have attempted to shed light on the mystery. In 2019, the Russian government reopened the investigation into the Dyatlov Pass Incident, aiming to provide a definitive explanation. After reviewing the evidence, they concluded that an avalanche was the most likely cause, citing the hikers' inexperience in assessing avalanche risk and the peculiar weather conditions. The avalanche theory doesn't hold up because the slope wasn't steep enough, and there was no evidence of an avalanche at the site. It feels like they're trying to close the case without addressing all the facts. Despite the official stance, many researchers and enthusiasts remain unconvinced. In 2020, a study published in the journal Communications, Earth and Environment used computer simulations to show how a delayed slab avalanche could have occurred, explaining the injuries and the state of the tent. This study provided a plausible scientific explanation, but it still doesn't address all the anomalies, like the radioactivity or the missing tongue. The truth is, we may never know exactly what happened that night. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a complex puzzle with pieces that don't quite fit. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of this mystery is how it continues to capture the imagination, inspiring books, documentaries, and even feature films. It serves as a reminder of the power of the unknown and the human desire to seek answers, even when they may be forever out of reach. Among the items recovered from the tent were the hikers' diaries and cameras, which offer a glimpse into their final days. The diaries reveal that the group was in good spirits, despite the challenging conditions. They documented their progress, the weather, and their interactions with local Mansi people. One entry from January 31st reads, "The weather is getting worse, but our mood is great. We're ready for Otor 10. The photographs show the group setting up camp, cooking meals, and even playing in the snow. However, the last few photos are more mysterious. One photo appears to show a dark figure in the distance, which some interpret as a yeti or an unknown person. Others believe it's just one of the hikers or a trick of the light. The final photo, taken on February 1st, shows the group digging out the snow to set up their tent on the slope. These documents and photos are crucial because they show that up until the last day, there was no sign of distress or unusual activity. Yet, they also deepen the mystery, as they provide no clear indication of what went wrong that night. When the hikers didn't return by February 12th, their expected date, concern grew. A search party consisting of fellow students and local authorities was dispatched on February 20th. On February 26th, they found the tent on the slopes of Kholat Shako. The tent was partially collapsed with a large tear from the inside. Inside, they found the hikers' belongings including food, warm clothing, and boots, suggesting a sudden departure. Footprints led down the slope, indicating the group had left in a hurry but not in complete disarray. Following the footprints, the search party found the first two bodies, Krivonishenko and Doroshenko, under a cedar tree, dressed only in underwear. They had attempted to start a fire, as evidenced by broken branches and burn marks. Nearby, the searchers found a makeshift observation post in the tree, perhaps to keep watch or signal for help. Between the tent and the cedar tree, the bodies of Dyatlov, Komogorova, and Slobodin were found, seemingly trying to return to the camp. Slobodin had a fractured skull, but it was not deemed fatal. The remaining 4 hikers were not found until May, when the snow began to melt. They were in a ravine about 75 meters from the cedar tree, partially dressed in the clothes of their comrades. Thibaut Brignol had a severe skull fracture, while Dubinina and Zolotaryov had multiple broken ribs. Dubinina was also missing her tongue and eyes, possibly due to decomposition or animal activity. The injuries to the chest and head suggest a significant force, like being hit by a car or falling from a height, but the lack of external damage is puzzling. The search and discovery process was meticulous, with investigators photographing and documenting every detail, yet the mystery only deepened. The Dyatlov Pass Incident is more than just a mystery. It's a tragedy that claimed the lives of 9 young people with bright futures. While we may never know the full truth, their story reminds us of the unpredictability of nature and the limits of human understanding. As we continue to explore the world and push the boundaries of knowledge, some questions will remain unanswered, leaving us to ponder the mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp. And that's the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, a mystery that keeps us guessing even after all these years. Thanks for joining us on this journey at Snapply. If you enjoyed this dive into the unknown, give us a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think happened that night? And share this video with a friend who loves a good mystery. Don't miss out on more stories from History's Hidden Corners. Subscribe now and hit the bell so you're the first to see our next adventure. From ancient riddles to epic battles, Snapply's got more coming your way. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and will. See you soon.